we start with and has me fired up tonight. It wasn't supposed to go like this, but this is how it's unfolding. Reuters reporting there are American boots on the ground in Libya. President Obama has signed a secret order authorizing covert U.S. government support for rebel forces in Libya, officials tell Reuters. The order was signed within the past 2 or 3 weeks. Tonight, the New York Times is reporting the Central Intelligence Agency has inserted clandestine operatives into Libya to gather intelligence for military airstrikes and make contacts with rebels battling Kadafi's forces, according to American officials. And the National Journal reporting more than a dozen CIA operatives were sent to Libya. When the president announced the United States military engagement in Libya, he was emphatic. There would be no troops, no boots on the ground.
We will not, I repeat, we will not deploy any U.S. troops on the ground.
In fact, UN Resolution 1973 excludes, quote, a foreign occupation force of any form on any part of Libyan territory. Of any form? What's that mean? NBC sources are telling NBC that the revelation of CIA operatives in Libya is pro forma. Still, the White House knows this kind of revelation, this kind of headline could change the dynamic on the ground in Libya, and support for the president at home could also shift. The big question tonight, that remains, will the United States or its allies arm these Libyan freedom fighters? Reuters also reports today U.S. officials have said that Saudi Arabia and Qatar, whose leaders despise Gaddafi, have indicated a willingness to supply Libyan rebels, I call them freedom fighters, with weapons. Now, remember yesterday, the president told Brian Williams that the operation of arming Libyan rebels wasn't off the table. He also said the following to ABC News.
It's fair to say that if we wanted to get weapons into Libya, we probably could. We're looking at all our options at this point.
Senior European diplomat says the coalition of nations involved in Libya considered arming rebels a serious option, and that the coalition is considering that option now. Reports from the front lines are that anti-Gaddafi forces, they are in retreat. It was not a good day for them, and they are poorly armed.
The momentum has changed very quickly in this war, and on the front line, Libya's revolution is being held together with sticky tape.
Show me what you're armed with. What's your weapon? Only that?
Only that.
So, we have stopped Gaddafi from slaughtering his people in Benghazi. Our airstrikes have allowed the rebels to advance. But now they're retreating. After all that, does the world community stand by and watch the freedom fighters get crushed? The president pledged that there would be no U.S. troops on the ground in Libya. Today, we learned that CIA operatives are on the ground. What does that all mean? Still, it looks like the freedom fighters' only shot for survival at this point is a real injection of military hardware that they say they desperately need. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton today said that there was still no decision on arming the rebels. Nobody wants another situation like the Mujahideen in Afghanistan in the 1980s. Whether or not we arm rebels, freedom fighters, whatever you want to call them, is a very hard decision. But I think we have to do it. It is a moral decision at this point. You just saw that piece of videotape, that young kid. We have a state in the United States of America, New Hampshire, live free or die. What do you think that Libyan freedom fighter wants? What is his choice? He's made what's on the license plates in New Hampshire, live free or die. That's where he is. And where does the United States stand tonight? Look, I am a liberal, I am a progressive, but that means that we need to stand behind people who want freedom. This isn't Bush talk. This is totally different from Iraq. It's totally different from any other situation, in my opinion. This is a situation where we have got a coalition that has come together and realized that Gaddafi is a terrorist. The president has gone on record saying that Libyan agents have killed Americans. That's all, as an American, I need to hear. Let's get it done. Let's arm these rebels. Let's give them a chance to fight. At least if they're going to die, they're going to have some hardware in their hands to defend themselves. There was a soundbite in Richard Engel's piece last night. A gentleman says they're pulling women out of houses. They're lining people up and they're assassinating them. They've got shooters up on top of the roofs to picking people off. I mean, come on, America. When do we fight? Does it have to be absolutely perfect and we have to have an absolute end game and, dot all the I's and cross all the T's? Hell no. This is about freedom, is it not? This is about people who want to get rid of a dictator, a guy who has brutalized them for 40 years, and we stand here tonight as if we're not free. We stand here tonight as if, well, I don't know about this, I don't know about that. The military equation here, I understand, is very, very complicated. They are not trained freedom fighters, but they have in their heart, they have in their soul the same things and the same qualities and the same spirit that the people who found this country had in their hearts and their minds centuries ago. Look, this is a tough call, there's no doubt. It's a tough call for not only the president and for people who support the president who really have had enough of war. We don't have a stomach for this, I know that. Just listen to the people on talk radio across America. They're using this as a tool to take down our president because they politically hate him. They have made it their goal over on the right to make sure that President Obama does not get reelected. So they're playing the political games with the lives and the heart and the spirit and the soul of the Libyan people who all they want is a fighting chance to take down a dictator who has killed Americans. Liberals, we are better than this. Give them a chance. Arm them. And of course, we may not be the only ones with a say in this. We're just one voice. There's 9 other countries who are going to have something to say about this. So it's not a slam dunk, but that's where I stand tonight. That's what I believe in. I believe those people that I have seen on these reports from our network, NBC, they deserve a fighting chance. They've earned that much. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's text question: should the United States arm the Libyan rebels? Should the United States arm the Libyan rebels? Text A for yes, text B for no to 622-639. You can go to our new blog, ed.msnbc.com. We'll bring you the results later on in the show. Joining me now, NBC military analyst and Medal of Honor recipient, Colonel Jack Jacobs. Colonel, take us through the military equations here. Is there a chance that if we were to arm, if the coalition were to give the hardware to these freedom fighters, and that's what I call them, would they have a chance?
Well, they'd have a chance, but they've got to go through a lot of training so that they can use the weapons that they're given. First of all, they're not going to be American weapons. They're going to have to be Soviet-style, Chinese-style weapons, the ones that they're used to. Second, the large majority of these people do not have any military training at all. And typically, it's going to take between 8 and 16 weeks to take your average young fellow, like you saw on that tape, from just being able to handle a knife to being able to use any kind of small arm or automatic weapon, to be able to understand the difference between laying down a base of fire and maneuvering to close with and capture or kill the enemy. All that stuff, it takes us between 8 and 16 weeks. So weapons alone, ammunition alone is not going to do it. They're going to need training.
Colonel, what about the CIA boots on the ground? Is this standard operating procedure before we get involved in some kind of military operation?
Oh, sure. We'll always have people on the ground in order to gather intelligence, and in this particular case, in order to make some sort of connection between us and the people who are evidently running the rebel operation. Without that, it doesn't make any sense to support anybody. There also has to be liaison between the people who are on the ground, the Libyans who are fighting, and the Egyptians to the east. Don't forget that Benghazi's got 700,000 people. And when Kadafi's people came up close to it, it started to scare those people away towards Egypt. So there's got to be, we have to have some Americans on the ground to do coordination.
Okay, is it legal for this coalition to arm these freedom fighters?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's, look, the president was a bit disingenuous. There was a lot of politics involved in his saying that we were not going to have boots on the ground. We always have boots on the ground. Not many, and not conventional boots on the ground. Yeah. But surely we have